Coming up on Mountain News this morning, families in Kentucky continue waiting for justice as the freeze on executions continues 15 years after the last one was performed. And an Eastern Kentucky police officer returns to the job after getting hurt during a chase.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning to you. 5:33. It's Friday, and I'm Dakota Makris. We made it to the end of the work week. Let's head over to Brandon for a look at our forecast this morning. And thankfully, this morning, not much to talk about.
No, thankfully.
Yeah.
And I'm glad of that because it was an active week. I was off for a couple of days, but still, I was following the weather. It was active for the boys, and I'm just glad that things are finally getting a little bit calmer, at least in the weather department these days. All right, let's get into the forecast this morning. Just take you on a tour of the mountains with the camera network. We're seeing US 119, US 23 at Jenkins. Not too much going on. Not a whole lot of snow melt yesterday because we didn't get a whole lot of warmth. Only got into the mid to upper 30s there in most locations yesterday afternoon, so we didn't quite make our daytime high today. I think we're going to stay cold again, but the sunshine will come out, so that should take care of any of the snow that is still out there today. Looking at temperatures in the 20s and 30s, but they're continuing to fall there in most locations. Staying stable right now, 26 Irvin to 32 in Harlan, Jonesville, and Jacksboro, 29 Manchester, Pikeville 2, 29 Prestonsburg, 28 Clintwood, 30 Hazard, 30 Monticello, and 27 in Moorhead this morning. Day planner, a little bit of a warm up, but a cold front is on the way through. It's a dry one, so that's some good news, but it's going to keep us a bit chilly. Only 31 a daytime high this afternoon. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you. At least one man is dead following a crash early Thursday morning in Breathitt County. The crash involved two vehicles on Highway 15 near Brewers Drive. The man who died was identified as 20-year-old Talbert Noble of Jackson. He was driving an off-road motorcycle and pulled into the path of a Ford F-150 pickup truck that hit him. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The crash is still under investigation and a reconstruction is pending. Floyd County native John C. Hall Jr. has died. He died Tuesday at the Willows at Hamburg in Lexington. Hall is well known for his role at the Hall Funeral Home as co-owner, funeral director, and embalmer. He is said to have been a lover of all things Martin, including Martin Purple Flash High School basketball, bluegrass music, country cooking, and Eastern Kentucky in general. His family said he had a passion for helping students attend college, so to keep that passion alive, the family is asking that memorial contributions be made to the WYMT Mountain Classic Scholarship Fund. Visitation is from 3 to 9 today at the Hall Funeral Home, and his endowment will be held on Saturday at 1 p.m. at Highland Memorial Park. Well, Monday marked 31 years since Powell County Sheriff Steve Bennett and Deputy Arthur Briscoe died in the line of duty. Their convicted killer has been sitting on death row since 1994. Public opinion in more states are turning against the death penalty. Right now, it's still the law of the land in Kentucky, but executions have been on hold here for more than 1 decade. So is justice being delivered, delayed, or denied? Garrett Weimer investigates.
Inside the Powell County Sheriff's Office, reflections of those who wore the badge before, reminders of lives taken from them, and the reality of loved ones' lives forever changed.
This didn't have to happen. It didn't have to happen.
Stephen Bennett wasn't even 4 years old when his father, Sheriff Steve Bennett, was gunned down in the line of duty.
He didn't know that he wasn't, when he left the house that morning, that he wasn't going to come home to me and my mother.
Now, more than 3 decades later,
I've spent a lot of time thinking about what was going through his mind.
this community in many ways is still haunted by what happened on that January day to Sheriff Bennett and Deputy Arthur Briscoe.
During the past 30 years, I've spent a lot of time thinking about not necessarily Deputy Briscoe, but my friend Arthur Briscoe hunkered down behind his police cruiser shooting for his life until he ran out of ammunition.
Ralph Stevens Bays Jr. was arrested January 30th, 1992. Police say he surrendered after an 8-hour manhunt through the woods, wanted for killing the two lawmen.
Bays, you're charged with murder, 2 counts.
Bays shot them when they showed up at his home in rural Powell County to serve out-of-state warrants. In 1994, Bays was convicted and sentenced to die.
The clock in the execution chamber is ticking on Ralph Bays.
But he successfully stopped the clock on his scheduled execution September 25th, 2007.
They have held me illegally, they convicted me illegally, and they're trying to murder me illegally.
One legal challenge was even heard by the U.S. Supreme Court. According to the Death Penalty Information Center, Kentucky is one of 27 states that still has the death penalty. But the last time the state carried out an execution was 2008. Today it remains on hold, as it has been since 2010. Most recently, a 2019 circuit court order struck down the state's protocols after challenges from Bays and other death row inmates. As part of a 2020 settlement agreement from that case, the Department of Corrections says it has formed a work group to review and amend the state's administrative regulations of the death penalty.
We need to proceed.
State Senator John Schickel says he knows public opinion is changing, but it's time to carry out those death sentences. In a committee meeting last fall, he asked the DOC for an update on where the state's protocols stand. He says he still hasn't received one.
This really isn't about polling. This really isn't about future laws. This is about enforcing the laws that are currently on the books that every public official is sworn to uphold.
Body shall come to order.
Meanwhile, a bipartisan bill filed in Frankfort would abolish the death penalty altogether. Senate Bill 45 is sponsored by 2 Republicans and 1 Democrat.
And I think it's worth a societal discussion at the very least.
Minority Floor Leader Gerald Neal says he understands how victims' families can feel what they feel, but there are still systemic issues with the death penalty, and he believes, even without it, justice can still be served.
I have no sympathy for someone who goes out and disregards someone else's right to life in the sense of living their life in that space, and they disregard that. There's no sympathy there. I think the issue is bigger than that individual. I think it is a larger societal issue. This also has personal ramifications depending on who you are.
If SB 45 becomes law, Bays and the 25 others on death row with him would instead serve sentences of life in prison without parole.
It's changed a lot.
Outside the Powell County Courthouse, monuments honor the city and county law enforcement officers who have died in the line of duty.
There's 5 monuments there.
Judge Executive Eddie Barnes sees them every day.
And that's 5 too many.
Barnes worked in law enforcement himself, serving under Sheriff Bennett and replaced by Deputy Briscoe when he left, just weeks before Ralph Bays killed them.
My personal opinion, this is Eddie's opinion. He's exhausted all appeals. They found him guilty, and I think they need to carry out the sentence.
Finding it frustrating that Bays is still alive after the sheriff and deputy he admitted to killing have long been laid to rest. In Powell County, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
A Department of Corrections spokesperson says any regulatory changes to the state's protocols will be filed with the LRC for the final action by the General Assembly. It is unclear when that could happen. Until then, executions will remain on hold. In June 2022, an officer with Pikeville Police Department was injured during a foot chase. Earlier this week, he finally returned to work. Captain Russell Blankenship was one of many officers involved in serving an arrest warrant when the suspect attempted to run away. After stepping in a ditch, Blankenship severely injured his right ankle, tearing a tendon and rupturing 2 ligaments. After a long recovery process, he was permitted to return to work on Monday, even after doctors told him this injury may prevent him from ever wearing the badge again.
I've been wanting to come back since the day I took off. It's just not in me to sit at the house. I don't like to do that. I miss work. I miss my family, friends here. This is my home away from home.
Blankenship says he owes it to his community, his family, and his friends, and himself to return to work and finish his tenure at Pikeville PD. Well, just ahead this morning, good news for horse racing fans as tickets for this year's Kentucky Derby go on sale, as well as a few other events.
And we're saying so long to rain chances and hello to sunshine for the next several days. I have the very latest in about 3 minutes.